Alright, World's quarterfinals are over. We've got so many insane games to cover, so we're going to just jump right into them in the order they happened, starting with Hanwha Life Esports versus gen.g. Game 1 saw Hanwha draft Pantheon support for Delight, who helped Peanut and Zeus secure first blood in top lane on Keen just before 5 minutes, but Keen would have his revenge 16 minutes in to put gen.g ahead.
As we do have the Rift Herald going over to gen.g, and now they're looking for Zeka in the back of the pit. He didn't want to use the flashes, now Canyon could be in a bit of trouble. Viper flashes away, but it's Zeka that's in trouble. Keen gets his revenge as he takes down 2. This Aatrox just burst to life at 16 minutes into the game, and gen.g
secured Dragon at 28 minutes to deny Hanwha sole point, but they paid heavily for it as Viper mopped up on Corki. With just 700 gold separating the teams at 32 minutes, gen.g peeled off Baron, looking to use their man advantage for a fight, and Duro landed yet another devastating Nico ult.
Actually, they do not want to let this go, but I think they might even have to as Canyon goes in, seismic shove. Not going to quite find it as Duro finds another pop blossom onto everyone that was left, and then it's mopped up by the Aatrox.
The respawn timers were simply too long for HLE to save their Nexus as gen.g took game 1. Once again, Keen found himself the center of early game attention in game 2, picking up 3 kills in 9 minutes on Gwen. We saw some absolutely insane team fights once again, where every clutch seemed to be topped by an even bigger clutch.
Let's see how much damage it's going to get down on both of the carries into that backline. Is now Duro once again going to be eliminated, but Keen finds the backline. Delight going to be the first one to go down as Ruler is able to do it. Peanut gets in, but it's Canyon with the smite. This time around, Soul Point, some cool shoes, and let's see whether they can win this fight at the same time. Great knock-up onto Zeus as he's trying to dash his way up, but Zeka finds the angle onto Ruler. The Emperor's Divide will find it again as Zeus is able to take down Canyon. HLE, a gorgeous team fight.
Despite being more than 4k down at 37 minutes, HLE secured Dragon through a Ziggs auto to put both teams on Soul Point. We then saw 15 minutes of HLE expertly stalling the game out while gen.g held fast, resulting in the longest game at Worlds as both teams struggled to find the angle to end. But something finally gave way when Duro made a pick onto Peanut in mid, and just before 59 minutes, gen.g were finally able to close out the game.
This video is sponsored by our friends over at Opera GX, who have the browser for gaming. Okay, let's be honest, guys. What does everybody want out of their browser? No frills, a smooth experience, and no annoying ads. And that's the Opera GX difference. These guys, they just get it. This S-tier browser comes with a built-in ad blocker to make sure your experience is seamless, as well as a built-in VPN that allows you to encrypt your data and hide your IP with a single click. On top of that, when you download Opera GX, you can use the code Earn Your Legacy until the end of League of Legends Worlds to get a free month of their VPN Pro. So make sure you download Opera GX using the link in the description and get started.
Game 3 started off quietly with just 2 kills and 1 dragon apiece until the 15-minute Rift Herald fight as Hanwha's team fight comp came online.
Walks up a couple, the quickness gets into the backline as Delight that finds his former teammate. Ruler stays alive for so long, but Zeus says no, flashes on top of him as at least Chovy's able to take out 1.
gen.g struggled to even get a look at the objectives Hanwha were just taking across the map, and trying to stop them from getting Soul proved fatal. Hanwha moved on to taking gen.g's base soon after, with Zeka pulling off a nasty Yone ult for his team to pull 1 game back in style. Almost exactly like Game 3, Game 4 didn't really kick off until the 15-minute Rift Herald fight as Keen's Cassante picked up a tidy double kill. The Atakan fight at 20 minutes looked like a way back for Hanwha, but their numbers advantage couldn't help them win the fight even before Keen showed up. gen.g's lead became a landslide over the next 10 minutes as they picked up Soul and an 8k gold lead. The LCK's number 1 seed took down the number 2 seed to book their place in the semi-finals, a certified banger of a series. Next up, we had Katie Rolster versus CTBC Flying Oyster. Let's throw it over to Sean Wetselaar, who's on the ground in China, to break this one down.
We're here in Shanghai in front of the Mercedes-Benz Arena, and look, could I take this time to talk about gen.g and the incredible form that they're in, the absolute class that they demonstrated in that Game 2 against HLE in particular? Sure, of course I could, but I'm not going to do that because that's boring. Instead, I'm here to say it. definitively, unambiguously, it's time to get excited about KT. And I mean really specifically time, because we're filming this on Friday. They might get eliminated from the tournament in 24 hours, but what a glorious 24 hours they might be.
Sleep onto Hongq. BDD doesn't have a huge amount of mana. Grub's begun again by Cars. The flash! Headbutt pulverize! Up here to take a medal, take a prize, impaled under the tower, but he takes the enemy mid laner down with him. Rest trying to come in from the side. He's going to get slept as well. A perfect nap for KT to collapse as Dokdam takes the kill. Kaiwing chased out, make it 3. KT secure the feats of warfare.
Let's start with some baseline facts. Going into the semifinals, KT are the only undefeated team left at Worlds 2025. They have yet to drop a single game. Have they done that against arguably weaker opponents? Sure, maybe, but those opponents include TES, who are also in the semifinals. And they've looked absolutely fantastic as they've done it. BDD in particular is playing like the world-class mid laner we've always known he could be. Cuz and Dokdam have also put on some performances that really deserve a spot in the semifinals. But of course, the thing about this team is that all the powers of the universe have conspired to make sure that KT fans don't have nice things since really the very beginning of League of Legends, and saying anything nice about them in public is a little bit taboo.
I kind of feel a lot of these emotions that you're talking about.
Right?
And it's actually making me more thoroughly, definitively, positively excited.
Get him!
This is finally a KT team, not to jinx it, that really does have a chance to do some damage in this bracket.
No. Do you want more than that?
I do. But it's definitely true that they have an extremely tough semifinal ahead of them, and nobody who's serious is really going to say that KT are favored against gen.g. I'm not standing here to say they're necessarily going to win either. KT are also in a pretty elite club this year as one of the only teams to have taken a best of 5 off of gen.g all season long in the summer playoffs. And sure, gen.g got their revenge later in the bracket, but Worlds doesn't have a lower bracket.
And maybe Chovy underperforms again, just like he did domestically. And maybe Kenyan has a bad series, and before you know it, KT could be in finals, which would be very funny. Yeah, I would be sad for Chovy, but it would also be the funniest thing that's happened in the world in a good amount of time. Yeah, I'm known for not believing in curses, but I will get, you know, in trouble with my colleagues who are KT fans if I say I'm excited about KT. But they just have been good. And if they lose against gen.g, that's also not. That's expected, right? That's not really them choking or them like the roller coaster. That's just the expected takeaway, which is when they have always done it. So I will make sure to predict a gen.g 3-0, and then both the KT fans will be happy with me and the gen.g fans will be happy with me.
Alright, next up we have Top Esports versus the last remaining Western team in G2. Top Esports looked dominant right out of the gate in Game 1. Caps had the only gold advantage over his opponent until Cream's Akali deleted him in top. A ballsy rift charge onto mid-tier 1 set in motion an insane teamfight at 17 minutes.
Looking for a knock-up, unbreakable for a brief moment. Now moving into the backside, that's the Cyclones. Qmon gets out the Crescent Guard to mitigate some of the damage, but he's still locked down by Jackie Love. Moving into the circle briefly as Hong does his best to body block. All in from G2. The public execution brings 369 right into G2's backline, and they start to fall. TES make it look effortless. Cream pulled back. The shockwave caps a moment. He turns it back for G2 and takes 2 in return.
A textbook TP flank from 369 caught G2 completely off guard at 22 minutes, setting up him and Cream to once again lay waste to G2's backline. Every team fight looked heavily one-sided from there. G2 just didn't have an answer for Top Esports' quadruple threat comp. It was death everywhere they looked, and Top Esports stopped toying with their food at 30 minutes to take Game 1. G2's early game looked miles better in Game 2, solidifying their early lead with a flawlessly executed dive in top lane to pick up 2 kills. G2 tried to contest Dragon just before 22 minutes, but the outnumbered players got absolutely smacked, as it looked like they'd let the early game slip through their fingers. But rumors of G2's death were perhaps premature.
Stun onto Jackie Love connecting. Caps immediately going to follow. Redemption coming through, but it's not enough. Once again, Jackie is picked off. Cream coming in with the Q3, but it's just too late. Kanavi trying to make his way out, but he isn't able to grab the grass blade, and down he goes.
G2 might not get the Baron yet, but they sure as hell take the fight.
By 31 minutes, Scumon's Mundo had picked up 7 kills, 8 assists, and 0 deaths. He was an unkillable raid boss that G2 used to siege top esports and turn their gold lead into a win to even up the series. Game 3 was a snooze fest until 21 minutes in, when Jackie Love's risky arcane shift into G2 actually paid off.
Won't have much effect. Hook connecting onto Hong, but Labrov stuns himself to throw it down, and it's a severing bolt from the skies to knock him down. Caps will fall as well as Jackie Love fearlessly shifts forward.
Labrov's Thresh got caught out at 26 minutes, and Caps could only show up in time to see his team wiped out, delivering Dragon Soul right into the hands of top esports.
Jackie Love shift back over the wall, now able to free fire, but Hansam is firing back just as well. Trap down, Redemption coming in. The Caitlyn needs to make the difference, but it's 3-6-9 into the backline with the triple.
It was a GG go next situation from that point on. G2 couldn't hide anywhere on the map, and top esports could smell the semifinals as they moved to series point. G2's Draven gamble in Game 4 seemed to pay off early as Hans Sama picked up first blood, but it was a game where, once again, despite eking out a small gold lead in the early game, G2 couldn't stand up to top esports in the team fights that mattered.
Hung on the flake, no quickness available, but he does have access to exhaust. 3K on the objective. G2 are trying to burn it down, but Kanavi's not having it. The Forge God called, Broken Blade exhausted, knocked out G2, hand delivering the objective to the side of TES. 369 wants a bit more. The Hyper Procs coming in, scatter the weak, pushing back TES, but G2 losing so damn much.
And things went from bad to disastrous for G2 from there. In a game which could have been Hans Summers to take over, it was his opposite number in Jackie Love that stole the show in Game 4. In what may have been the most one-sided game of the series, Top Esports eliminated the last Western team at Worlds to take their place in the semi-finals. And finally, we had T1 versus AL. Doran channeled his inner Baus in Game 1 to break the 0-0 deadlock in the first Dragon fight, staying alive long enough for the rest of T1 to mow down AL.
They go in immediately as Doran tries to lead the charge with the blast estimating smash, but he's only going to be beat down himself. A lot of damage to Doran, but he is not down. Carry into the back line. The major engage from T1. Tarzan finds a supreme display of talent and making a 1-for-1 so far, but T1 have the health bars. Faker rides the Weaver's wall as Carry is about to die into the back line, but Kyle falls.
As T1 positioned to take Soul at 27 minutes, Flandra committed the cardinal jungler sin of getting picked off before an objective. AL tried to force T1's hand by rushing Elder, but T1 went for the jugular, taking down the AL members and then their Nexus shortly after. Gumayusi took on the persona of a Draven main early in Game 2, flashing under the turret when he saw the gank coming from behind him, only to die anyway. At 13 minutes, Gumayusi sniped Flandra across the map like he was Baron Nashor, but that was where T1's fun ended, as AL began to dominate them in skirmish after skirmish, but T1 still found a way to clean ace AL outside their own base when they tunneled on Faker's Anivia.
Anyone's Legend have overplayed their hand, and T1 is ready to punish. Hope should be next to die, and Guma cashes in.
But the tide stayed firmly with AL throughout the mid-game, winning the vast majority of their fights. As T1 grouped up at 31 minutes to defend their only remaining inhib, AL smelled blood and dived on Faker before picking off his teammates and the exposed Nexus to even up the series. In Game 3, although the score and gold were even at 18 minutes, T1 looked the more disjointed team, not respecting Kyle's Bard at times. Although T1 had the gold lead, AL had the momentum and soul, and he used it to bait T1 into a fight at Baron before pulling off a beautiful engage.
Immediately the engage comes out from Tarzan. The target is Carrier. The Shank Seal finds everybody. Thanks to the back line. As Gumayusi tries to get away, he's scattered, but he's knocked down by Tarzan. Faker scrambling as Kyle and Hope chase after him. Doran's gonna be the next target, and Anyone's Legend have forced the world champions back.
AL took Soul and destroyed T1's Nexus soon after to put themselves on series point with a chance to eliminate the defending world champions. First blood in Game 4 led to an absolute massacre in the top lane.
Underneath the turret, Doran's going in with a bellows breath, and it's first blood over to Carrier. Kyle tries to counterattack with
Zenith Blade, but he does not have what he needs. Doran now the target. Shanks doesn't need him with a chain. He's got to try to get away as Tarzan wants to kill Doran. Shanks still in the back part of the fight. Tarzan with a 3-man impale. T1 still trying to fight as Faker arrives in. Shanks down to 150, and the blooming burst from Keria gets him.
T1 took control of the mid-game, narrowly winning teamfights by the slimmest of health bars. At 32 minutes, AL tried once again to throw everything they had at T1, but when the dust finally settled, T1 were bloodied but still standing. With Soul, Baron, and a 9k gold lead, it was time for Silver Scrapes as T1 clawed their way to a Game 5 and their own series points. Despite a whiffed Seraphine ult from Keria in Game 5, T1 were able to take Dragon at 17 minutes to put themselves on Soul point already. 4 minutes later, Flandre put the whole of AL on his back, but he couldn't quite get to the GOAT.
And T1 are moving forward. They charm up the enemy jungler. Tarzan's already down, but Doran dies. Hope is excited, but where's the rest of the fight? Keria tries to get away. Gumayushi right beside him. Flandre here in the front line as Owner's going to be chopped up. But Mundo dies. Hope's on a killing spree. Flandre going forward, but Faker takes him out. Hope, Shanks, and Kael trying to get away. Guma, Keria, and Faker stepping forward. The Otacon, it's impatient, but it's so close to dead. It is stolen away by Faker himself.
T1 got Soul, but after picking off Owner and Faker, AL turned to take Baron. T1 tried to stop them, but even some perfect kiting from Gumayushi wasn't enough. A catastrophically poor death from Flandre set up his team for failure in the resulting teamfight, and T1 were able to win out after fighting for almost a full minute. And from there, T1 ramped up the pressure to finally take down the Nexus and win the series when everything had looked so doomed.
Half HP on the front line of AL. T1 pushing forward. They've made their way on the Nexus. AL scrambles to defend. Doran can't do it. History is written by the victors. And yet again, T1 turns the page of the LPL. They will once again earn their place in the semifinals.
So there you have it. T1 have secured their place in the final 4 teams. Casual viewers might not be too surprised to see the defending world champions get here, but considering just how close they were to not even qualifying for the tournament, it's pretty mad. And sure, you can meme about their plot armor all you want, but the truth is, just like last year and the year before, T1 have shown that they might take a while to warm up at Worlds, but when they do, it's incredibly hard to knock them down. On Sunday, they'll face Top Esports, the last remaining LPL team at this Chinese-hosted tournament. If they win, they'll be facing the winner of gen.g versus KT Rolster, 2 teams that had their number in the regular season, but anything could happen now. Can T1 continue their quest to complete League's first ever three-peat? We'll know soon enough.
Thanks for watching. If you want more content like this, hit the sub button and ring the notification bell. For unique bite-sized videos you won't find anywhere else, hit us up on our X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.